first 5 feet around
District meeting for Wednesday, March 19th, 2025 at 9 a.m. Number 2, please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Number 3, roll call, starting from my left.
Atkins here.
Gabriel here.
Asdell here.
Samuel stood here.
And I believe Mr. Baker is sunning himself somewhere on a cruise. Okay. Number 4, certified posting of the meeting agenda, please.
Yes, sorry.
Morning, how's the ankle?
Okay, the agenda was posted on 3/17/25, Daily Tribune 258, Town Hall 808, Nakusa Port Edward State Bank 820, and Quick Trip 812.
Thank you. Number 5, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Number 6, elector assistant comments. Do we have anything there?
No, sir.
Pass to number 6. I can actually hear them. No action contemplated except possible referral to future agenda, information updates, meeting recaps, current events, and announcements. Brad?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Just me. The Wisconsin Lakes Show is this weekend, or this coming week, I'm sorry, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're going there. Mark and I are signed up for a wake enhancement program on Friday afternoon. I've been in discussion with those folks. We have information here, a lot of information. I talked to the gentleman that runs the, if I get this right, Wilderness Lake Alliance, I believe it's called. They are in the process of working with 30-something lakes. They've already done 30-something wake boat ordinances. They've done 20 of them that mimic Crystal Lake, and after talking to him, he said we are a lot further along than a lot of others. He will be at the show next week. He's doing his review. They will have a booth. He's also interested in the Nanobubble project, so we're going to have some nice conversations. I spent a lot of time with him on the phone the other day. It looks very promising. And they will help us. They'll even bring people out here. They'll help write the ordinance. They'll do the whole ball of wax, or pretty much for us. So it'll be very nice working with them. Hopefully the board will accept all that and start working with these folks. So looking forward to that. Just want to let everybody know we did get our grant from Visit Rome, the $25,000. I did ask them to just go ahead and make it out to the bank for us, and they did that. It's been deposited, so we are ahead already on our payments, which is a good thing. And then we will get a receipt from the bank, and then I've already informed our CPA, so she's going to work with Regina to get the paperwork in there. Since it was a direct deposit, it doesn't really flow through us, but we have to record it as a reduction of our debt. So it's a good thing. We got that rolling already.
Part of the agreement with Visit Rome is that $25,000 has to be applied to the principal.
Exactly, and that's exactly what happened. So that's a good thing. We're happy. Debt of gratitude to Visit Rome. Very generous offer. Okay, number 8. EOR discussion on June, October testing and presentation. Ann, can you hear us? Donna, what'd you do? Yeah, we're not getting them on the screen. She's there. Ah, there she is. We got her. You're on.
No.
Nope.
No.
Still you. Yeah, Ann, do you want to speak and see if it clicks over to you?
We have this problem every time.
Yeah, go ahead. Looks like when you speak.
Nope. Can you turn that up?
good idea to improve the point intercept survey we did last summer. Got all that data compiled and have him talk a little bit about what we saw out there from the plans. So, Ian, you wanna take it away?
Yes. Share my screen.
Oops.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about the third installment of our data series that we've been doing the last couple of months, talking about the nitrogen and phosphorus data that we collected. Again, this is just a reminder of some of the sites that we monitored on. So, Camelot, there were 2 sites at 8th Avenue, and then that other star is control. Then we have our sites on Sherwood. The one without the red dot is control down here on the south. And then on the top with the green star is the algae control. So, but you'll kind of see those names there, and I'll have a reference map as well. And then we have one site on Arrowhead. We collected many different parameters last summer per our monitoring plan. We had biological. Drew's going to look at the plants with you all today, and then chemical, and we're going to look at the nutrients today. So the nitrogen series and the reactive phosphorus and total phosphorus. And then we had the physical, which is the soils and mixing. Kind of, we talked about that in the past as well. The purpose of taking these samples is to compare changes in nutrient dynamics pre and post nanobubble treatment, and to also look at nutrient dynamics in the surface versus near the sediments. And there's some interesting phenomenon there going on that we're still trying to understand a little bit better. These are the types of parameters that we're going to look at, so I just wanted to give you some context. We have the TKN, which is a total nitrogen. It's a measure of organic nitrogen, so nitrogen as part of sediments, as part of algae, any sort of organic form of nitrogen, plus dissolved ammonia. And then total phosphorus is the total phosphorus dissolved in the water and as part of particles like sediment and algae, similar to total nitrogen. And then the other 2 are looking at the types of nitrogen and phosphorus that are bioavailable to plants and algae. So those are kind of the most available types of nitrogen that kind of can fuel a lot of productivity in the water column. The most edible forms. That's our nitrate plus nitrite and our ammonium. And then for phosphorus, it's the soluble reactive phosphorus or orthophosphate. You're going to see a lot of plots today, as we've seen in the past presentation, so I'm just going to spend a bit of time orienting to you to what those look like, and then give an overview of what we're kind of seeing from these plots and what we're looking for. So these are for our Camelot lakes. We're looking at nitrogen on this slide, and then there's a map on the bottom of the slide to kind of show you where those different locations are. The first plot is our total nitrogen, and on these plots you'll see a blue line and a yellow line. The blue line represents the concentration we're observing in the surface, so that's kind of where we're most interested in when we're thinking about algae blooms. But then there is some interesting things going on in the bottom layers, and so you're going to see throughout this presentation, especially with the total nitrogen and total phosphorus, that there are some spikes and intermittent spikes in the bottom layers that we're still trying to understand a little bit better. But in terms of algae blooms, we're really thinking about what's going on with that blue line. You'll also see on our nitrate plots, there's a two dashed lines. The first represents 5 milligrams per liter, which is kind of our watch value for safe levels of nitrate. And then there's a red line at the 10 milligrams per liter, and a red shading above that 10 that shows kind of our maximum contamination level. Luckily for nitrate, we don't get near that realm, so that's good. So in general, we see in at the Camelot control, and kind of for all of our nitrogen species on Camelot, a decrease throughout the season, especially in the surface layer. And so that kind of talks about how it is changing throughout the season. Nitrogen is kind of being utilized through productivity within the lake from the plants and the algae. So nothing too surprising there. And then I will say that we have some different dynamics that we can look at in other parts of the lake as well. And then this is the phosphorus. Similarly, when we look at this, we see that surface line in blue, and then yellow is the bottom layer. We're looking at total phosphorus and soluble reactive phosphorus. The soluble reactive phosphorus is what we would see if there were for internal loading. In general, these all across the board, there was some intermittent releases of soluble reactive phosphorus, but they were very low concentrations. And they correspond to that kind of anoxic regime that we talked about last week, but those were intermittent periods. On the total phosphorus plots, we also put an indication of the goal of total phosphorus concentrations for the lake at 30 milligrams per liter. That is represented by that dashed red line, and then anything above that is kind of above our goal. In general, and again, we're seeing kind of these spikes that we're trying to understand a little bit better in the bottom waters, but they don't seem to be affecting subsequent peaks in the surface layer. So that's interesting to us. In general, across all of the lakes, TP is kind of hovering right above or below that goal. So we're kind of fluctuating right above and below that goal there. Then we'll go to Sherwood. So for Sherwood, you're going to see kind of a matrix of these plots, and we'll talk about them in general. In general, the nitrogen is showing that it's well mixed in the water column. However, we're seeing a couple of those peaks, and we're seeing a couple peaks in the surface nitrogen kind of in our early fall, especially in Bay 3 and Sherwood, and those are also showing the highest levels of nitrogen. Bay 3 is right actually next to the Sherwood control. You can see on the map to the side there. Now we'll look at ammonia. So ammonia similarly shows a decrease throughout the season, but there's some interesting dynamics going on in the bays here as well, in Bay 10 and Bay 7. But in general, these are fairly low ammonium levels. For the nitrate and nitrite, all of them are below the watch level, and we again see that steady decrease like we saw in Camelot, so that is all good. And then for the total phosphorus, similar story. We're seeing a little bit of late season peaks in the surface, and then mostly hovering around our goal. But you can see again in Bay 3 and Sherwood control some higher levels of total phosphorus, especially at the end of the season. So we're going to definitely watch out for what's going on in the Sherwood control in Bay 3. Soluble reactive phosphorus, again, most of these were less than detection and also very low compared to the total phosphorus, but you can see on Bay 3 there's some intermittent Bay 3 and Bay 10, there's some intermittent release from the sediment we're hypothesizing because they correspond with some anoxic levels that we saw from our oxygen data. But again, this is pretty low percentage of the total phosphorus we're observing. Arrowhead Marina in general showed the highest for nitrogen and highest concentrations for nitrogen and phosphorus, especially total nitrogen and total phosphorus. And similar trends here, seeing a decline in the nitrate and ammonium, seeing intermittent releasable phosphorus in the bottom layer, and then in general, just a really much higher concentrations, especially of total phosphorus above our goals. So the key takeaways are that Arrowhead Marina had the highest TP and TKN seasonally. The TKN showed some seasonal variability, especially in Arrowhead, Bay 3, and the control. Nitrate and nitrite were all below our watch levels and were slowly declining in all of the bays. Similarly for ammonia, there was a decrease throughout the season, and the highest concentrations were in Bay 6, 7, and 10 and Sherwood. Total phosphorus was kind of fluctuating and hovering around the goal concentration with some seasonal peaks. And then Arrowhead, Bay 3, and Sherwood Control had higher concentrations than the rest. Our releasable phosphorus was low. However, we did see some peaks in the bottom during periodically stratified periods. And that was probably due to release in the sediments. And then we're seeing some interesting peaks in bottom water concentrations, especially for TP and TKN in several of the bays in early fall that we're still wanting to investigate. So we're going to dig a little deeper on Sherwood bays 1, 3, 7, 8, and 10, and then the control, and then Arrowhead and the Camelot control as well. The next steps are to complete the permitting process, complete the data analysis, and have it ready for our post-treatment comparison, get them up on the website, and then, anticipating treatment to begin in summer. Does anyone have any questions?
Hey, Ann, can you hear me?
Probably just go up over there, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Ann, can you hear me? Hello? Well, I don't know, anybody in the,
Here she is. Oh.
You're on, the computer's.
If you're asking a question, I think you're muted.
Spacebar? Spacebar.
hey, Ann, can you hear me now? Unmuted.
No, it's
Still
still
muted.
showing. It still shows us you're muted.
I think if you push alternate spacebar.
Oh, yeah, okay. Hey, Ann?
Let me help.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, there it is. Ann,
Yeah. Hi.
hi. The goal of 30 on the TP, where's that coming from?
That was an established goal as part of the monitoring plan we put together for the DNR. It's a pretty standard total phosphorus goal to have to prevent algae blooms in the lake.
Okay, so a follow-up question, how does that relate to the TMDL standard? Is that higher or lower? Do we have something on that on the Tri-Lakes, do we know?
That should be in line with that.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Ann,
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna ask the question since I'm sitting here.
Sure.
The question was asked if, what do you want, the report that?
Copy of the slides.
Can we get a copy of what you just presented?
Yes.
Thank you.
And then this will all be on your website as well, that you'll be able to kind of toggle through. So
Okay.
that's the goal.
Okay, thank you. Why, anybody else?
You know, ask, we have the higher levels of phosphates in Sherwood.
Got this,
So do we?
this is also being recorded and will be available, as soon as we've got the meeting done.
Thanks, Jay.
Can we just,
All of our presentations have been recorded.
hold on, Jay. Can we assume that the alum treatment is faded from Sherwood since it's been a year and a half and they have high levels of phosphates?
Question from Carl is about the alum treatment and if that is faded since, what was it, last
2
summer?
years ago, almost 2 years ago.
Coming up on 2
Two.
years in
Yeah.
June?
Summer still. Yeah, so that's a good question. That alum treatment was kind of a water column stripping, and so that would have had more immediate effects of conditions 2 years ago and moving forward. It was also only applied in the main channel, so any additional binding sites would be effective only within that application area, and all of these sites were not within the application area because they were in the bays near the houses and near the nanobubble units.
It'd be kind of interesting to see if we do a couple tests on Sherwood to see if the phosphate level is where it's at out in the main body where they were testing, just to see if there's any residual effects.
You want to test?
Now, we'll probably do a couple tests to get some phosphate readings on the main body, just see if there's any residual effects.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yep. And can you hear me?
No.
The data that she presented today on the Arrowhead Marina, how does that compare to the, when we did the test in the Arrowhead Marina back in 2023? How does that compare?
Is that prior to the treatment? Is that what you're getting at?
Or after we got done with the test, after the, yeah.
So, Ann?
Yeah.
The question is, the marina, how do the numbers now compare to the numbers after the nano bubble treatment? Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you get that, Ann?
Yeah. Jay, did you all collect phosphorus and nitrogen samples in the marina at that time? I know you had a buoy there.
Yeah, all we had was the buoy available, so the data on the buoy is all we have.
Yeah, so that doesn't include nitrogen, a nutrient that I just presented.
So no nitrogen or phosphorus were collected then, correct? Jay?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that last question.
So then no nitrogen or phosphorus were collected right after the nanobubble treatment?
No.
Okay,
I think the main thing there we were looking for was the dissolved oxygen and those, the sediment and that kind
and
of
then
thing.
in the muck,
Yeah.
yeah,
Should have checked, I wish, in hindsight, yeah.
yeah. Anybody else?
I think we're good. You got
Okay.
anything?
Thank you,
Thank
Ann.
you for your help on this, Scott.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right, Drew, let's talk about plants. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Can
You're
you see
up.
my screen?
I can see you. I can't see your screen.
Oh, okay.
We can see him.
Here we go.
Now we can't. There we go.
Now?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So yeah, just going to talk about the point intercept survey that we did this past summer and the results. So, the point intercept survey, we go out in the boat and follow the DNR grid that they have established. So it's it's 625 points. Just running these transects up and down. And you throw a rake out at each point, and then you identify each species on the rake, and then you identify the overall fullness from 0 to 3 for each species, and then an overall fullness for the rake as well. So like here, this is sago pondweed. That's probably a 1, and there's just one species on this rake as far as I can see. So we have that data for each point on the lake, all 625 points. And you can see the black is a point we sampled, but there was no vegetation that we found there. So in the deeper parts of the lake, we weren't really finding a lot of aquatic vegetation, you know, especially on the western end. But as you get back into the bays, and especially towards the southeast here, it's denser aquatic vegetation. So you can just look through some of the species. We got curly leaf pondweed. It's not real dense. This species actually, it goes dormant early in the year, you know, as soon as late June or July. But we were finding leaves of the plants. So it's kind of throughout here, but it's not real dominant. Same thing with Eurasian water milfoil, another non-native species that's invasive. It's present, but again, not really dominant. There are a few denser areas in that southeast corner. For the natives, we've got sago pondweed, which is a nice native. That was, I think, one of the most common species that we observed, just kind of prevalent throughout, usually a 1 or a 2. I think, yeah, there's 1, 3 there. This Cara or muskgrass, this was more typical along the north side of the lake, just right along the shore. This is a nice species. It's just to genus because there are like 20 different species that are really difficult to identify. But it's generally indicative of good water quality too, so that's a good one to see. And that might be an interesting one to keep monitoring next year, or to see how it changes next year with the nanobubblers. And then another common native was water celery. This one, it kind of grows sparse like this, so it's kind of difficult for it to get higher than a 1 on the fullness, but it's kind of throughout the lake in the nearshore areas. And there are a lot of nice pondweed species. Pondweeds are some of the most diverse genus of aquatic plants in Wisconsin. So we found 6 pondweeds in the lake. This is the map for Fry's pondweed. Again, it's kind of in these nearshore areas, but it's just kind of distributed nicely throughout the lake. So another thing, so I have here the C value is an 8 for the Fry's pondweed, which is good. C values go from 0 to 10. So I'll give you an analogy of C values that might help you understand it, because people's eyes usually glaze over when I start talking about C values, so maybe this will help. So I'm going to do C values for Wisconsin drinks. So for instance, it's got to be native to Wisconsin. So if it's native, it gets a C value that's over 0. And we're thinking about it as like, how restricted is it to a bar? Okay, so like a Bloody Mary, I'm usually getting a Bloody Mary in a bar. I'm not making a ton of them at my house or at a tailgate or something. So we'll call it, sometimes I do, but most of the time you're getting it in a bar. So Bloody Mary, the C value is an 8. A grasshopper, I think I've only ever seen that in a supper club or a bar, so I think that should actually be a 10 instead of an 8. Bud Light, not native to Wisconsin, that's a 0. So I have an example here. Hoozles, a local establishment. I just use this because I had a tap list, but you can go through their tap lists and assign C values. So Busch Light, St. Louis, Missouri, that's a 0. Miller Lite, you could find that anywhere, not just at bars. Spotted Cow, kind of the same deal, that's a 2. And then you have some of these more unique beers, like the Gyrator from New Glarus. I'm calling that a 10. Or this, I don't even know, X Theols. That could be a 10. So you can kind of summarize this by just taking the average of all these numbers. So for Hoozles, all those numbers add up to 56. They've got 14 beers on tap. So the mean C is 4, which is pretty good. And then you can also get their beer quality index, which is the C value, the mean C value, which is 4, times the square root of the number of beers. So it's 4 times 3 something. So that their beer quality index is 14.9. So you can see how this gets applied to plants. At Lake Sherwood, we had 25 species, so 11 more than the beers on tap at Hoozles. The mean C is really good here, actually, 6.04. So a lot of native species, a lot of high C value native species. And then the Floristic Quality Index is 29. So those are all really good numbers. We can look at a plot of like similar lakes in Wisconsin. So you have the number of lakes here, and the Floristic Quality Index. So this is from the Wisconsin DNR's Aquatic Plant Explorer, and they have the 2014 data from the 2014 Point Intercept Survey in here. So that found 31 was the Floristic Quality, and we found 29. But either way, it's kind of at the top end of these southern reservoir lakes. It's high quality. And you can see the species we had here listed out, and their C values. But yeah, mostly 6s, 7s, 8s, and due to the pond weeds, those are generally higher C values, so the diversity there kind of helped it. So I guess things to watch for next year, obviously the impact of the nanobubblers. I think how we'll look at that is, we have the species distributions mapped, so we can see how that might change, like a species like the Cara or muskgrass, see if the composition or assemblages change, and then we can compare the composition in bays that are getting treatment versus bays that aren't, and with the nanobubblers, if we see increased water clarity, water quality, and decreased nutrients, that's probably going to have an effect on the aquatic plants. I would guess it's not going to be real substantial, but it could be. So we'll have to wait and see. And that's it. Any questions?
Anybody? Somebody want?
Thanks, Drew, that's quite a Bloody Mary.
You want to moderate and tell them we're done, I guess. Thanks, Scott. I guess we have no questions.
I think we don't have any questions, Jay. You got anything else for us?
All right, sounds good. That's the presentations for today, folks. As I mentioned, they will be, that these have all been recorded and they're available. We're grooming all this to put together for the website, and we can further any more discussion as it comes up. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks,
All right.
Jay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Well, we're still with EOR. I got to mention something. Sunday we were with the grandkids at a place called Discovery in Milwaukee. Is anybody familiar with that? A really neat place. It's a hands-on science thing for the kids, and physics, everything's in it, really neat. Walking through there, I'm looking at all the displays and things that come across the Milwaukee water system. I'm looking at that. Okay, they show the process of how they clean the water up. And the first thing is, they get rid of the sediment. It makes sense. And they get rid of any of the solids. That makes sense. Then they start adding a few chemicals, fluoride and whatever, to clean up the water. Then there's an ozone generator on there. Ozone. And the DNR will not let us use ozone in the water, but they're using it for the water system down there. Unbelievable. I took a picture of it. What's going on here?
That's for potable water, right?
Yeah, we're drinking it. Yeah, it just floored me. So, just an FYI, our attorneys, they are working with Balsam Lake on challenging some things, but I'm going to give them the information about that too, because it's just, how could they not know this? I don't know. Is anybody familiar with all that? It just makes no sense to me. So anyway, we'll go pass that along. But
You've said in the past that you have somebody who can talk to the DNR and get their attention.
there are people out there, yes. There's some working on it right now, and I believe Moyer is also looking at other avenues to pursue.
Maybe some of that information is
Yeah,
relative.
I think so. I was amazed. It just floored me. Anyway. Anything else with EOR? Any questions? All right. Number 9, 14-Mile Watershed Alliance. Dave, got anything?
Okay. The UW Extension winter webinar series concluded yesterday. There were 6 sessions this year. They all were related to nitrogen utilization and leaching. All the sessions were recorded, and the first 3 are posted on the UW Extension YouTube channel, and all of them will be posted in time. Yesterday's topic was implementing best management practices in response to trends in increased severe weather events and flooding. So that was an interesting session. I'll take some of Heather's thunder. There's a biochar workshop next Tuesday, 3:25 at the Adams County Community Center. That'll be from 10 to 3. Registration is required and lunch is provided. Carl mentioned the Lakes and Rivers Convention, so that's next week starting on Wednesday through Friday. There actually was a wakeboat session on writing a wakeboat ordinance, and that filled the capacity like right after it was announced. But there are several other sessions related to the data that's been collected on wakeboat impacts, so those should be some good sessions. We've got a meeting coming up with the Adams County Land and Water Conservation Department. They're in the process of rewriting their 10-year resource management plan, so they're forming a resource advisory committee, and that first meeting will be on April 3rd from 1 to 4 at the Adams County Community Center. And then the last thing is save the date, Fort Timball Watershed Alliance is putting together and sponsoring a State of Our Lakes session at the town hall again, and that'll be on June 7th. Okay, questions?
Thanks, Dave. Okay, number 10, harvester update.
Yeah, thank you. Just a few things before we get to the handout. We'll be starting April 1st. That's a Tuesday through Thursday. And then Monday through Wednesday after that, 3 days a week, we'll start working on the machines and getting ready for the upcoming season. The number 5 boat, which was damaged and sent to inland, will be returning sometime next month in April. I don't know exact date, but it'll be coming back in April. Should I ask this question? Being at Arrowhead Marina is the worst. Is there gonna be a bubbler in that one? Because it's a big pool, so that's why it's always bad.
Down the road, that is
Yeah.
one of the sites, yes, for a
Because we
bubbler.
try to clean it up, the harvesters do the best they can to clean
Yeah.
that up with the room that's in there
Yeah.
to keep it clean.
Yeah.
That's just FYI. So,
See, whatever we gained in the marina when we did that test in there,
yeah.
it's something that has to keep, it's an ongoing thing.
Right. Okay, so those are a couple of things that are coming up. The handout, I won't mention any of the names, and I won't mention the numbers on here, but I just want to let you know that this is a proposal, what we like to do for these folks that are mentioned on here.
That's coming up on number 18, so we will,
Is that what it is? I didn't know if that was
Yeah, 18.
for the your folks, the Nano people,
no, that's
Or-
for the,
or this.
yeah, this was brought up by Mike, so it's number 18, yeah, that's yours.
Oh, okay,
Craig,
never mind.
you want to mention if the skid steer, when it's coming back?
The skid steer is coming. Should be back. He's said he's going to be coming back at 11, dropping it off at 11 o'clock at the shop. So it'll be back. That's what he says. So I'll be there waiting for him.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Great, thank you. Number 11, district update?
Nothing
Microphone?
other than the insurance renewal. Our insurance renewal, of course, is coming up on 5/1. I just got the packet emailed to me, so I'll forward that to you all. And then you've got a copy of a letter from them that they're trying to change our deductible on our inland marine boats, and so that's it for me.
Okay, yeah, we'll cover that on number 21 there. Okay, thank you. Number 12, county, Heather? Ready to go.
All right, good morning. So, yeah, thank you, Dave, for announcing this exciting, we're calling it the Biochar in Central Sand Symposium. So how it started was I wanted to put together a nutrient management planning workshop with Andrea Topper from DECCAP. So she, does all the nutrient management training programs for farmers. And one of the biggest barriers here in Central Sands is getting potato farmers to do nutrient management plans, because even though they are nutrient management planning with what they're applying, most of the potatoes that are grown here in Central Sands are synthetically grown, right? So we have sandy soils and they're pretty much growing potatoes with chemicals. Like, that's how it works. And that's, is a problem when it comes to, how do we keep those nutrients where they need to be, so that, because that's their money and it's going down, so it's a concern, and it's something that there are other programs out there working with UW Extension to try to, get those nutrients to stay where they need to be with the lysimeters too. So like we've thank you, Dave, for mentioning the nitrogen, the nitrate series, because a lot of this work is connected to, like, how do we keep the nutrients where they need to be so like farmers can continue to grow their crops. And it really comes down to profit per acre, right? So this is the language that, as I'm talking with farmers, like, hey, how can we improve water quality, keep your nutrients in your field, growing your crops, so these things are not leaching into our groundwater. And nutrient management plans are, you'll see potato farmers are like, nope, I am not going to that because they will not be in compliance based on the rates recommended by the state. And this is a conversation I've had with people at DACCAP, like, what do we got to do to bring farmers to the table? Because this is a problem. This is a barrier for potato growers, because we have potato growers who are trying new things. They're doing research demos, trying to grow more with less. And they're really, really showing up, doing this work, interseeding cover crops and potatoes, which is something that's never been done before. All of these really exciting things, but they don't fit within the context of these nutrient management plans. So let's do a workshop and see what we can do to get maybe more creative with how we support farmers with their nutrient management plans. And I thought, the best way we can do this is let's do it with biochar, because this is something that we're taking a system approach to it. So we are bringing in foresters, so working with the Adams County DNR forester, as well as some of the more regional foresters, who we have paper company land that lots of pulpwood that needs to come off and know where to go with this. So what if we could make a soil amendment from it that nitrogen will bond to it? So it's if you've watched the session, that you can email me. I know, Phil, thank you for trimming down that recording. We had an informational session on biochar, and it's one of those soil amendments that, like, I'm really optimistic is going to be a real game changer for groundwater quality here in Central Sands, because it sequesters carbon. So instead of burning off all that slash after a logging, you're releasing all that carbon into the atmosphere. You're making a soil amendment of it. You're locking it in. You're injecting it or putting it back into the ground. And those nitrates and nitrites are going to bond to it. They're not going to flow. They're going to enter into the groundwater. So we are holding this meeting next week. We're bringing everyone to the table. Policy people, foresters, the researchers. Kristen's coming back. She's our USDA Climate Smart Specialist who has done graduate research on biochar. Also bringing in the food safety people, because this was a big thing that was brought up by producers. Like, we have to use synthetic fertilizers. We have to, because of the food safety regulations put out by Frito-Lay and McCain's and some of the bigger distributors. So trying to identify what are all those barriers within the system that's preventing farmers from adopting, newer, innovative, regenerative practices. Let's get these people to the table and figure it out. So that's what next week is. I'm really excited. So we're going to be having conversations, asking the difficult questions. I'm working on a grant to acquire RCPP funds. It's a conservation program funds through the USDA. Right now, they're obligated to the Sand County Foundation, meaning that they've received notice that those funds are to come to them, but they have not yet been dispersed because of all the tie-ups in government funding. However, I'm still going to apply for the grant. And the ask is for that is $100,000, $80,000 of which will go to cost paying for this biochar application. So I'm really excited. This is how much it is per acre. You ready? So $1,730 per acre that can be applied to actually implementing this practice. Now that includes sourcing the biochar, which can be expensive, applying it, transporting it, all of it. Okay, so the goal of next week is to identify what are all of those costs associated with actually putting this biochar into practice, because our cap is $1,700 per acre. That we would be the fiscal agent at the county and pay out the producer to do it. But essentially, they have to upfront the cost to do it, and then we would reimburse them up to that amount per acre. So we're looking to get up to 46 acres into practice. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but that's like our starting point. That's our starting point. This is brand new. No one's done it. But we also are looking at, that's why we want to bring the foresters to the table and the Nature Conservancy and some of these third parties, because we would really like to get an air curtain burner. That's how it's made here somewhere in the Central Sands. Because we have those sources, I'm thinking like when you're harvesting those weeds, that can be turned into biochar. When we think about all of the slash, all of the any woody treatment that's coming off of our landscapes can be turned into biochar. So if we can create that system here in Central Sands. I think, again, it could be a big game changer for how we manage our nutrients, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So the deadline for that grant is the 31st of this month, so that's why we're having the meeting next Tuesday, so that we can get some of those details, really figure out, what are the questions we're looking to ask as we implement this practice.
Have you seen our transfer site here?
I have not.
Oh,
we-
we have brush, timber, you name it,
See,
tons of it.
and this air curtain burner, we want to get one that's mobile, that we can then move. And then imagine if we can, if we had this air curtain burner, we can go to those transfer sites and make it right on site.
You could plant one there, yeah.
Right,
Seriously,
yeah.
We have a lot.
And and I know, if you know Pat Rogers, she's been, doing lots of her own research and really getting invested in this. So she's tapping into some of those other sources, and there may even be other companies that would be willing to work with us. And right now, it's like we just want to get the money to pay for the practice, that we can get that practice on the ground. I know as provost, we've been talking about denitrifying bioreactors. The biggest concern with that was that they're only good for 10 years. So farmers are like, well, I don't want to spend all that money and then have to redo, seems like, I think, a little bit more sustainable, and it's more of a continual management tool that we could be working with other stakeholders. And I think it's really an interesting way to engage foresters too, to really step up and support with their managed forest land and see what's the connection between forestry, agriculture. I also went Aaron Brockovich style, and I've been working with John Hancock Financial Group, which is actually a subsidiary of Manulife Insurance, and they have several large tracts of land. They only have 3 tenants they work with. That's Mortensen Brothers, Wysocki Farms, and Heartland Farms. Those are the only 3 tenants they work with on their tracts of land. So I've been actually meeting with their director of row crops and berries, because they have, I think, 50-something marshes across the whole state of Wisconsin, or more. I think it might even be closer to 70. So they direct contract with Ocean Spray, and so I've been meeting with them. Just met with them yesterday, and they're interested in getting involved more too with their some of the sustainability efforts of those larger groups. So I'm coming at them from a lot of different angles, like McCain, the corporate side of things, the grassroots side of things. So really optimistic that producers are gonna want to try some new things.
Another thing too, visiting the grandkids again this weekend, I learned something else. We were at a little farmer's market in Port Washington, and I walked into this place, and there was a table right there, and these 2 girls sitting there, and as bashful as I am, I started looking at stuff, and I said, oh, biochar. They had books on biochar. So we got into a long conversation, but I have their information. I mean, I explained to them what you're working on also. So it sounds like there's a lot more interest out there than we're probably. I'll see if I can get you their information. I think I got their card at home somewhere.
That'd be great.
But
I'm actually from the Sheboygan area originally,
Okay.
so I know Port Washington quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
that'd be great.
it's-
That's cool.
Yeah, I had a good conversation on that. So it seems to be a lot more out there, I guess, than we're.
Yeah, well, biochar has been around for thousands of years. It's an indigenous practice, and it's just, I think, now starting to pick up interest, especially with growing nitrate concerns, and it's organic chemistry applied into this agricultural setting, which is exciting.
Yeah. So, anything? Thank you, Heather. Okay, yeah, great. All right, number 13, town update. Nothing?
Nothing new.
All right. Number 14, discussion on FOIA requests and questions to the Adams County Zoning Department. We received a FOIA request here for information, most of which we don't have, and there's some misinformation on there saying that we wouldn't get animal buffers going to the end of May, and I don't know where that came from. There's all sorts of interesting comments on there that felt just plain out in left field, so. Anyway, we turned it over to lawyers and let them handle it. Most of the information I get, like I said, we don't have. We have a lot of data sheets, so some of those might be going out, 60-something pages of numbers, but other than that, they're looking for things that are handled basically through EOR and the DNR. We're not involved with it because we got the experts doing it. Most of it we don't understand anyway, so. We also have a letter that went to the county. You have one, right? You got one there? Oh, I got it here somewhere. Yes, sir.
I saw the letter.
Yeah. Just a letter went to the, I guess, to the county. They're questioning about permits for all of our units and things like that. And I guess the response back from the county was the structures over at, well, excuse me, they aren't structures. The units over on 8th Avenue aren't structures, so they don't need a permit, which we kind of figured as we're going along. So the other units aren't even placed, and they go on a shoreline. They're too small. They're not sheds or anything like that nature either. So it was just interesting. It seems like somebody's trying to throw a wrench into things here. Just for whatever reason, I just want to bring it to everybody's attention, but we're basically going to ignore this one. So, do you have any comments on that one? I'm not going to read the whole thing off. It's just, we'll put it out there for you, but wasting our time.
In the last couple of weeks, I've been on Tri-Lakes Board now for almost 2 years, June of 2023, when unfortunately that's when Carol got me involved with this nanobubble project.
Sorry.
And I can honestly say, in the months since I came on board, we have talked about the nanobubble project, I think, every meeting. We've had presentations from EOR numerous times. Well, somebody questioned the permitting process to the point email was sent to the state, to DNR, with a list of questions that, in all honesty, have been answered in the last 2 years. I would have thought before somebody sent an email to the DNR with a list of questions that they would have talked to somebody from Tri-Lakes about those questions that they have. The town board has a representative on this Tri-Lakes board, Tom Gabriel. I don't know if they've talked to Tom about the questions or not, but this email that was sent, it kind of upset me. There's copies of it, anybody wants it. My opinion is Tri-Lakes and the town of Rome should be working together for the betterment of the town, not causing problems. We need solutions. I think I've said enough.
Okay, thank you. So anybody wants these, we'll put them, make them available for review. It's public documentation, so. All right, discussion and possible action on the following items. Number 15, approved minutes from Wednesday, February 18th, 2025. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Number 16, approved vouchers and financials.
Make a motion to approve the vouchers and financials as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay. Discussion? I do have a comment. On the grants, Regina, on the income statement, it was showing a $9,000 negative on the grant. Is that a correction of some
Later
sort?
on, what I emailed you in a separate email was that the auditor just sent in all the journaling that needs to be done, and so a lot of those amounts will change because they'll be moved to 2004.
Okay,
Or
reverse, he's doing
2024.
reversing entries
Sorry.
then. Okay, got it.
So, I just got that, and actually I'll be working on that this afternoon.
Okay, got it. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible action on dam monitoring. We're going to bring a few things to attention here.
Did you come up with we've met with Alex. Brad, you were gone. I wanted to talk to you about it too. A couple of years ago, they came up with a contract for the dam monitoring. According to that contract, Alex is supposed to be paid on a quarterly basis. We have not, talking with Gina since I've been on the board, we don't get any time cards from Alex until the end of the year in December. He wants to pay it all at one time. We talked about, and in that contract, there's money, there's 3% is withheld for administration fees, and I think there's like $30, $40 is withheld for workers' comp.
you know, we were looking at 120 now for just, for the annual, they'll cover pretty much all the expenses.
I think we need to redo the contract, saying that Alex and Brad, when he fills in, he has to submit time card on a quarterly basis, and he'll be paid on a quarterly basis.
Yeah.
So we get 10,000 from the county for the monitoring. You know, it's roughly 2,500 a quarter. Minus the 3%, take out 3% of that for the administration costs and the workers' comp, and then the rest is what gets paid out to Alex and Brad filled in.
Or whoever fills in for him.
Yeah.
And the other thing, he was asking about years gone by about bonuses that were supposedly paid out, and what we've done, we've looked at the statements from the auditor, so we know what we received from the county and what we paid out. We don't know what he's received, so we pulled the payroll. We're in the process of pulling all the payroll records going back to 2020. And when Regina gets done with the year-end audit, then we'll, dig into those and figure out what's going on there. So we'll resolve that one way or the other, but just a heads up on that.
So I think we need to rewrite a contract for Alex stating all this.
Pretty simple one, though, just, quarterly payments minus the fees minus any time you or anybody else covers for them, so. And we'll look at that rate of pay also.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Well,
With Alex and.
Yeah.
Talk it over with him and stuff, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, we did ask him if he wanted to go as a contractor or as an employee. He wants to stay as an employee, so that's fine. So, okay. All right, we'll work on that. Okay, discussion of possible action, review bids for Neo container covers. We do have one, I gave you all a copy. I just got this last night.
18.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sorry?
skipped 18.
Oh, 18? Oh, you're right, I had to check. Discussion of possible action, discussion and voting on workers' payroll. And this, Brad, Craig, this is where we were talking about you before. Yeah.
Okay, everybody's got a handout there. This, I'm not gonna mention numbers or individuals.
Mike already did.
Was that? Mike did? Okay. Anyway, what you see in front of you is what we are, and the reasons for the increase. Most of these are just $1 to $2 increase for these individuals that are mentioned here, and reasons why. Again, and then the last three individuals, Bob, Dennis, and Mike, they're our most senior drivers out there, and they're our most senior trainers. If we didn't have these guys, it'd be up to me or Mike to do the going out on the boat and do the training on the rookies, on the new folks. So we're just looking at if this would be feasible. We'd like it to be feasible. A trainer is classified as a harvester crew member who has demonstrated the confidence, experience, ability to operate a harvester in a safe manner. This period usually takes up to 2 to 4 years, and through the input of myself or my assistant, it's been determined we'll give them a rate increase based on their ability. For the most part, through all the years I've been here 15 years now. Unbelievable. That most of these folks get it after the first season, second season. We can let them go and start being a trainer. So, we're just looking at what you see in front of you here.
Do they need to be looking at this one, or no?
I didn't get that one out. There's a sheet here that was, I don't know if you want to look at it.
Careful.
Yeah, she's dead. The first bunch in the blue.
Yeah.
Thanks.
The new new folks. Let's get to that. The brand new guys, they've been there for now going on 2 years, so they're gonna get bumped up to the next, up to 16, I think it's 16 an hour, another $1 increase based on Mike's and I's observations and watching them work and getting feedback from them and from their trainer. So, like it says here, he or she will be eligible for the rate increase as determined by the harvesting supervisor and the board. This is above and beyond whatever the COLA is that was determined or is going to be determined for the coming season.
So Craig, it's yours and Mike's recommendation to do this.
Exactly. And the guys that you see here, actually, Carl, I think you're going to take one of the guys here.
Bone.
Mike Bone?
Bone, is there any other guys that are coming?
Not today. Dan was gonna do both, actually,
Was he?
yeah.
Okay.
But again, we're looking for one more person for the, to do the work out there. They'll give us 3 then we got plenty of maneuvering.
Excuse me.
Nano bubblers?
Yeah, and we got 2, you probably don't know, but we do have 2 guys for the project managers, so Mike Bone and
Mark.
Mark Lebecki. So,
See here.
yeah, he's right there.
And I just put
Oh,
out advertisements in the
Okay.
newspapers for the Nano Help.
Well, yeah, just one more on the other work. so.
Yeah. So, these are, Mike and I, we feel that, this increase of the folks that you see in front of you here is warranted to keep machines running, to keep the flow, as you want to say, keep the flow running out there and have no hiccups.
Thoughts?
If it's Craig and Mike's recommendation on this pay increases, I'm in favor of it.
Tom?
Are you looking for a motion?
Not yet, not yet.
Don't have any discussion. I think it's reasonable.
Yeah, I do too. The only question I have is how many hours they have, and what, I'd really want to look at our budget to make sure it's viable. I think it is. We usually put extra in, we build a conservative budget, so I don't see it being an issue.
And not all of these guys, like the bottom 3 down there.
Yep.
They don't work a full 5-day week.
Yeah, I think Mike Dresden also is gonna work on the nanos, but
I
again, part-time.
thought his name was mentioned.
Yeah,
True. But
And I can pull up a report in like 45 seconds. It'll tell how many hours they worked last year, each of those people.
I'd like to look at that and then also look at a budget. I think we're good. I'm good for it also. I mean, these are all good people, so. I
these
just
are-
suggest we table it until the next meeting and,
I mean, we got time yet before.
yeah,
I was just
right.
Before we
So,
guys get on the lake and we start working, that won't be till the end of May or first
Yeah.
of June.
So I
I'm
can
gonna
figure it
just
out
bring
real,
this up
yeah.
so that you're aware this is where we're going. We would like to go.
Yeah.
You know.
Can we put this
Take
on
it up
the
in
agenda
April.
for next month, Carl?
yes, for sure.
Okay.
We'll table it till next month and come back with the numbers, and I think we'll be fine, because again, we do put the conservative numbers out there, so.
And like I said, Gina said she can pull this stuff up and she can make
Yep.
a hard copy and pass that out for you folks.
Just let me double check it, okay? I want to keep our accountant happy too.
Well, yeah, sure.
All righty, thanks. Okay, now we go to the review the bids for the Neo container covers. We actually have several bids. We got, working on one last year, it was over $5,500. We passed on that. We have a bid in front of us here for $1,400, which is pretty reasonable, plus he gave us the design. We have one from BDT. He was at $905, but I didn't get a cover yet, and he did say he was working on another project. We got one from Fuller Manufacturing. He was over $4,000.
per unit?
Yeah, they was getting a little fancy with doors and things like that, but this one here with the cover is kind of, look, what Mark and I were looking at before. This one, just the cover, the whole thing slips down and, it's form-fitting pretty much. They can produce them for us, they're local. I would like to go back to BDT, but I don't want to waste a whole lot of time. I mean, we're getting close now to have these guys produce them. This one here, they did say that they would have to start working on them pretty quick to get 10 of them done by the time we need them. What I'd like to do is if the board would give Mark the responsibility to make a decision on these, whether we go with BDT. We're still waiting to hear from Guzel. But we go with one of those three remaining, and based on his expertise on what we need, that'd be my suggestion.
I'd like to wait and see, hopefully from BDT, what their
Yeah.
cover's gonna, I mean, that's what, $500 savings?
Yeah.
To me, that's a chunk of change if the one from BDT is 900, you said, Carl?
905 right now. He
905.
said he's got another design, so I'm waiting to hear back from that. But my suggestion is just to give Mark the authorization to make the decision.
Which Mark?
You.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, yeah, you.
Are these gonna be painted?
Yes, sandblasted, painted, and I gave them option of material. They could use pretty much anything. Fiberglass, plastic, aluminum, steel. Stainless is out, too expensive. But my suggestion would be to give Mark the option to pick the best one out of the three, because we're running short in time. I don't want to wait a month, really. Give him the best option with a maximum, we'll say, of 1,400. That'd be my suggestion.
How soon do you think we can get it from BDT?
I was going to go stop and see him, like, this week yet, and see if he's got something done there. I was going to just stop in to see him, so.
Now, BDT is, we got a good
Yep.
rapport with them. We do have an account with them.
Yep.
We go to them for all our materials, small manufacturing, things like that. They're right there. Having it. If they don't have it, the material we need, within a couple days, a day, 2 days.
Yeah.
We got it here. Pick it up.
So I'd like to get them a new quote, but again, go and see him, get that out of the way.
Sure.
The other thing is, these guys are gonna start getting busy with operations going in the summer, so.
And they do a lot of cranberry
Yep.
farm stuff.
They do. So,
Tom, you got a,
And I did see the difference in the price and stuff too, and they go all the way up.
Yep.
Would it be, I mean, we're taking basically A, B, or C on a sketch and the conversations that they've had with members of this board, mainly with Carl, I would assume, or with you. But we don't know how this cabinet's actually gonna fit and function on the nano bubbler. Because not everybody's building apples to apples. Sort of like a prototype. So neither A, B, or C are gonna get these all made in 2 weeks if we made a decision tonight. Would it be crazy to ask them each to build a prototype, we'll pay them for it, and then let the guys actually put it on with the pipes? Because we're already into this for millions of dollars for the bubblers. And I looked at these bids too, and my question, and I was in the bidding business my whole life, where's the difference coming from? You know, one of them says aluminum, one of them says steel. Well, you would think that the aluminum would be more than the steel one, but it's actually cheaper than the steel one. But is the steel one going to be more rodent resistant, fit tighter with the pipes? I mean, we don't know what these guys are actually gonna produce. So if we're bickering over $300 to $500 or $700 a cabinet, but we'll just do round numbers. The $1,000 cabinet works, but doesn't work that great. But the $1,500 cabinet works awesome. Do we spend for the one that works awesome, or do we settle for the one that's okay? I don't know. And none of us have actually seen one of these cabinets fit on the nano bubblers with the pipes coming out. So just an opinion of mine that if we're down to A, B, or A, B, and C, let them all build us a prototype, and whichever cabinet we like the best, once it's put on and we see what it is.
Whatever's user-friendly.
Correct. User-friendly, I guess, is the word I was looking for. because the $1,000 one might not be user-friendly if they have to take the whole cabinet off to clean it. But the $1,500 one might be user-friendly if they can slide a back panel out. And I just don't know if everybody's bidding apples to apples with the drawing they have, because there does seem to be from $900 up to $3,000-$4,000. There does seem to be
It's a big difference.
a big difference in it. Just own opinion, and I don't know, I mean, nobody's knocking these out in the next week or two, but could each of these companies knock us out one of them in the next couple of weeks and then go from there? I don't know. You're in charge there, Mark. We're gonna give you the permission. So I just wanted to express my concern
I think
that
that's a great idea.
we wanna make sure that whatever we give, I don't wanna call them kids, or whatever we give these men or women to go out and have to work on them, if they're not, if one person has to pick up a whole heavy cabinet, that might not be the best solution. If one of these guys has hinges that it flips up, I don't know.
See,
I haven't really seen the drawings from what they were given. I saw the one that came through. I saw the BDT price, but I didn't see a sketch with that one. So what, are we comparing apples to apples, or are we comparing apples to oranges?
see, when these bids first started coming in, we had one at 900, one at 1,500, we had one at 4,000. And I asked Carl,
Yeah.
are we comparing apples to apples
Yeah, no.
with these, you know, it's either,
I'm sorry.
We know you're out there. Yeah, well,
and I think it's a fair proposal, Tom.
I do too.
Have them
I do too.
build a cabinet for us to look at.
I don't think you need to go up to the $4,000 guy.
No.
But we have two of them now, sort of, give or take,
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where the third, I think
They're both local.
they're both local. We've worked, people on this board have worked with both of them. I mean, BDT and the shop master, I mean,
He does a lot of work around here.
yeah, and honestly, he's worked at the golf course for me too. I mean, him and his dad do good work, and he does good work. Shop master made the railing out on the back porch here, the stainless steel railing for the town of Rome. So they both do good work. It's what is the finished product gonna be? How is it going to mount in the nano bubbler? And how are our pipes going to come out in serviceability?
Okay,
I think it's a good request
I
to
do.
have them build a cabinet.
I do
If
too.
we have to, we can take,
I mean, we're gonna buy them even,
Yeah.
no matter what, we're gonna pay them for building it. But what happens if, I don't know, if one of them actually puts it into practice and like, oh man, we could mass produce this, we could save a little bit, or the other guy's like, oh man, I messed up this one, I can't do them for this. You know, we're gonna have to cut some corners to keep it on budget. Let's see what we're gonna get. Because we're offering them, in the long run, upwards of 30, 40, 50, 60 of these, 80.
Might be more for the whole state. That's what I told, Moyer said, if the cabinet works out well, that they can go after several hundred for the state, so.
Which, I don't think either of these companies, on the first time, I think they're both gonna wanna make some modifications to what they were thinking. Because there is nothing for them to follow. These guys have to bend, hinge, cut, drill, and after they make one, there may be some revisions to the plan. Now, the downside of it is both of these, or all three of them, could raise the price and be like, no, this is more work than we thought. But some of them could come back and be like, we can mass produce this, we got it figured out, this is how we're gonna do it, does it work for you guys? And actually give us a box at Tri-Lakes and,
Well, we've got the units here, why not?
They've already had them, they've seen them.
they've seen
All
them.
have,
We delivered them out there, and they came in and took measurements and all, so they're familiar with,
okay.
yeah,
it might,
Yeah, have a unit at each place so they can,
yes.
they can do that, yeah.
you know, actually work on it there with a unit there. Test fit, all this, and make modifications with the unit there before.
Leave them have each.
Once we get our skid steer back and we can pick up the bubblers, I would suggest taking a bubbler to each one if we're gonna limit it to just BDT and, what was the other one?
Oh, Shop Master, and
Shop
still go back
Master.
to Goozle and see what he's got.
Did he come in with a
He
price?
didn't come in with one yet, no, but the guy was hot and heavy to work on it, but give an offer at
You wanna-
least, but.
I mean, just my opinion, I don't care
No, I think
what
it's-
you
no.
guys
Nope, nope, nope.
vote on, but I want to make sure that we get if we order 10 cabinets and they don't work that great, it's sort of a crappy position that we're in. Now, if we get 2 or 3 cabinets and one of them stands out above and beyond the other ones, then we have to decide as a group, this guy was the most expensive, but he does have the nice cabinet. Look at what he's done. Or do we just go with the middle guy, be like, it works, but they got to take the cabinet off to do this. But we save X amount of dollars.
Here's,
I don't know.
Here's a suggestion I'll make again, over, so we just, yeah,
I think what Tom brings up is a great idea. I think the only thing you need to remember is if you're only gonna have them do one, there will probably be an initial fee. You're probably not gonna get just one made for the price you would.
no,
Because you're
we don't,
looking at
yeah.
multi, so you're gonna have to pay that initial
Yeah.
setup fee, design fee, whatever.
We'll cover the cost, as long as it's within reason of where they're at, so I think, yes, I think that's right.
But on the flip side of that, if these guys are looking at getting 30, 40, 60 cabinets, they might eat that upfront fee a little bit, do it to their price that they quoted, and see what they can produce.
Yeah.
But
I totally agree.
if they start making them and they realize that this isn't a profitable thing, they're gonna start cutting corners on these cabinets. And nobody's made one, they're not copying one from Mully or, that, here, this is what you gotta build, this fits perfectly. Everybody's approaching this with a different,
Mindset, I guess.
engineering, design, I mean, so that's just an idea, but we got it all in Mark's hands now, so, Mark.
Let me make a suggestion, we'll go back, we'll ask them to produce one, we'll cover the cost. When they're available, the units, we'll just call a special meeting, just for reviewing them, the board can then make a decision. And we'll leave it up to the board rather than.
I think it would behoove us to give each one of the 3 companies now, take a unit to their
So they can-
office so they can have it to build the unit.
Yeah,
That's
I would agree, then they're all on the same playing field, they can bend the piece, put it on the unit, be like, oh, no, we gotta go up a quarter of an inch, we're hitting this knob or whatever.
And we'll deliver the unit to the company.
We can do that.
Once we'll get the skid steer
Well, the
back.
skid steer will be there in 35 minutes, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming to you. Coming to you. All right, we'll do that.
So is that all right with everybody then?
Yeah, I'm good.
That's a great idea.
Good job on that, Tim.
Thank you, thank you.
I just wanna make sure we get a good cabinet in the end, and whoever
Yes.
does it doesn't matter.
So that's Guzzo.
All right, anybody else have any comments? We're still open here.
But if we're only
Anybody else
looking
know
at
how to
price,
bend
it
metal?
could affect.
All right, thank you. Okay, number 20, discussion of possible action, 20 units deliveries and additional storage container and possible extension of current container. What happened was I got a call from Chris. The 20 units we still supposedly have coming now. They sold 10 supposedly, and there's 10 more to come. You want to know, he's wanting us to take them now, but I'm thinking if we're not going to be planting them right away, why put out the money for them? But again, it's a board call, not mine. But
Those 10 units that they're holding out there in California.
yeah,
We've got the 10 that are going on Sherwood. We can't put them anymore on the other 2 lakes until, probably a year from now.
maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a possibility that at the end of this year, if we get enough testing going, we don't know.
No.
But the thing is, we can always order them. They'll take a month or two to produce them, so
But
I don't see putting money out for something we're not going to need for a while.
with everything that's happening in the federal government, are these prices gonna be $2,000 or $3,000
We got a
more?
contract. No, we've got a contract. We've already covered half the cost, so
Okay,
we're under contract.
okay.
So, board call on this one?
But if we don't have to take them, I'm not making a motion, I'm just still discussing.
Yeah.
If we don't have to take them, I agree that, why should we pay interest on the money if they're just sitting there?
Yeah.
On the flip side, I see Mueller wants to get them out because they want their money, so.
Well, apparently they are selling them, and Chad Wilson, he said he's had 2 on order for a while, and he can't get them, so If they sold 10 of them already and they got two more, I mean, it sounds like they can sell them without too much difficulty.
I would
I'd
say
say
wait
we-
as long as possible.
I'll see if, okay, I will call Chris and, well, we'll see Chris too next week, but I'll call him and see if we can get that out of the way.
You know, if at the end of, towards the end of the season, we get favorable results with the 10 that we put out there, maybe the DNR let us
That's what we're hoping, yeah.
put some more in the other two lakes.
We were still several months away on that,
Yeah.
so, yeah. So, plus, the other thing is if the attorney prevails with Balsam Lake, that affects us too. So, FYI. Alrighty, so I'll call Chris and say, keep him for now. Number 21, discussion of possible action, insurance deductible from 500 to 1,000. Don't know why, I'm guessing they're doing this, because we've had a couple claims, but I don't know if is it worth looking for somebody else. This is all that raises the deductible, not the premium, no.
They
Yeah.
kept your premium the same.
Yeah, so
I
far.
would- If they want to raise the deductible by 500, they keep the premium the same. I think it's still a pretty good offer from an insurance company in today's.
Well, they were very good with us on the
Oh, heck yeah.
on the machine, so they've always been working with us, so.
I mean, well, $500 not going to make or break Tri-Lakes in the coming years if there is something that we have to pay an additional 500.
Now, we got the bubbler, the 10 bubblers we have now are covered,
Yep, everything's
Covered,
covered.
right?
The big, the units also, everything's covered.
and
Yeah.
the 2 units.
Yes, everything's covered.
Where it comes in possibly handy or not handy is the harvesters sometimes do some minor damage to boats or piers during the summer. And so in the past, if to repair it was under $500, usually our mechanics would go repair it. Moving it up to 1,000 just means there might be more complicated things our mechanics don't have the time or knowledge to fix, so we'd have to make more claims on the policy. Instead of if it's over 500, then we claim it, otherwise we just fix it ourselves. Just a thought.
No, I understand that.
So, just leave it go?
I think that
So we don't need
keeping
to-
the premium the same, I don't think there's much.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I was just,
Shop around, you could be higher.
we've had a pretty good relationship with them over the years, so just want to bring the board's attention, so, okay, we'll pass. Next agenda items, well, we're gonna add on the dam monitoring, talk to Alex hopefully before then, we'll get the workers' payroll out of, into consideration. We may have to call a special meeting then to look at the cabinets, provided they're all ready.
I'll try and get to those 3 companies this week and see if they'll take the bubblers, and hopefully by next month, before next month, we'll have an answer on
Yeah.
the container, the
Yeah.
covers.
Sounds good?
So we get back to, so they're all 3 gonna be sitting over at the Tri-Lakes and we'll all show up and look at them there? I mean,
No, we're gonna drive them to their.
right,
Oh,
but
the
once their
containers, yeah.
prototypes are done,
No, we'll
We're
bring them
gonna-
back.
Yeah,
we'll bring them back to Tri-Lakes. We'll have all 3 of them sitting there,
Yeah.
or 2, whatever, or
Yep.
4. And we'll look at each cover and then,
They can give a presentation on what they did for the covers to the board.
okay.
Craig, are we gonna have room to put those inside someplace?
We still have a little room in the container. We can actually double up, so.
No, I'm saying so the board can get there and anybody else that wants to come and look at them.
For you, Mark.
pull one of those big
All right.
machines out.
Next meeting date and time,
Nobody's stealing it.
April,
April 16th.
9:00. Any issues with that? So, all right, can I get a motion for adjournment, please?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. It was a long one. Oof.
Oh, that's because we had 2 presentations.